Welcome back and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. This is the new logo for Warner Brothers Discovery and it looks great. Now, some are trying to say the background looks similar to the background for the logo for Superman the movie. That's no accident. And some Snyder fans are saying this is a bad thing. No, this is a great thing. And I'm going to explain to you why. Warner Brothers Discovery, the stuff that dreams are made of. So why would they want to have a background similar to Superman the movie? Because they want to take this studio back to the ideals that the actual Warner Brothers created. That the ideals that they had when they created the original WB. And Superman the movie is one of the first huge movies for WB. Of course, they had many huge movies before that. But they made, well, not WB, but the Salkinds and Donna, made a movie about, at the time, the most famous character in the world. And they pulled it off. Not only that, they stuck to the ideals of the actual character from the comic books. So this is why this is a good thing, a very good thing. So welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. You can follow me on Twitter, at Movies TV Mad. And I think I've got something else for you somewhere. Now, this is a picture of Sasha Calle, our brand new Supergirl. Now, she's in London, obviously, shooting The Flash. She took loads of beautiful pictures of landmarks in London. I think she's very excited to be in the city. And you know what? I like this look. I hope this is the look for Supergirl. It's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of got a Christopher Reeve spit curl Easter egg about it, hasn't it? I kind of like it. But what this is a very different look for Supergirl. But of course, there is a version of Supergirl in the comics that actually looks like this. I actually think she looks fucking tremendous. Now, this look really reminds me of someone who's been on the streets ever since arriving from Krypton on Earth. She's got that street Rocky Balboa mentality. I like that. That will make her relatable as well. So there's that. So I'm very excited about that as well. So have we got any more pictures for you this morning? Right. And look at this. This is Idris Elba's character, but this is the comic book version of Bloodsport. And it's inspired from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad movie. Again, very, very exciting. It's great artwork. And, you know, even the comics are going and copying and being inspired what James Gunn has done, which I think is excellent. So, in a moment, we're going to talk about what's more viable, the Snyderverse or the new era of the DCEU that Walter Hamada and Ann Sarnoff are planning. But I'm just going to find my first of many articles so I get my place. I hope you don't mind. It's just my OCD. Don't worry about it. Don't get nervous. Right. So let's discuss this. So what do you think has got more money to make? The Snyderverse or this brand new central universe? We've been talking about Sasha Calle already. I think Sasha Calle's Supergirl is going to be very, very relatable. A Kara Zor-El with street smarts. I see it in Sasha already. That's the kind of kid that Sasha is. And if you watch her in her soap, you'll kind of get those aesthetics. It's not the blonde hair, blue-eyed beauty queen of Melissa Benoist or even Helen Slater, who at this point is my favorite live-action Supergirl. I think she was fucking amazing. A female Christopher Reeve, if you ask me. But I like that this Supergirl could potentially have street smarts. So I'm very, very excited about that. Obviously, the answer to my question is that this new, broader, era of the DCEU can reach a more broader audience. I think what they're planning is the right thing. And I think as a business idea, potentially the DCEU, the multiverse strategy we're moving towards, is a better business idea than the Snyderverse. Because from the inception of the Snyderverse of the DCEU, aka Man of Steel, it's funny with studios, they weren't thinking about money. They weren't thinking about business. They were thinking, here's a director, we're going to let him do whatever he wants. And the director's thinking, do you know what, you don't like it? I'm going to cast Larry Fishburne as Perry White, even though Perry White in the comics is white. Now, don't get me wrong, I was very excited by Larry's casting, and Larry played a great Perry White. And if you're going to cast a good actor, you should never cast someone because of their skin color, of their ethnicity. Your first inclination shouldn't be inclusion. It should be the character and what best serves the character, of course. And if you cast the best people, you will stumble on the inclusion anyway. And that's how I feel about it. But what's a better business idea for Warner Brothers? The Snyderverse? Again, Mark Hughes' article, which I read out yesterday on a pre-recorded video, go and check it out. I think it was called Warner Brothers Discovery should green light Justice League 2. Go and check it out. But he was talking about, 150 million, it's not a big deal. It is. If that movie can't reach a broader audience, would it be in theatres? Would it be on HBO Max? You've got to understand the business and the financial. The thing is, to spend money, you want to accumulate money. It is a business after all. Warner Brothers Discovery is not going to be a charity foundation for Zack Snyder and his many fans. We've got to remember that. Now, that sounds harsh. Seeing I'm a Snyder fan myself, and I love his 3 DCEU movies, I'm talking about myself as well. But there's no question for me. The plan that Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada are developing with this multiverse strategy is a good one. Jason Kilar's already said they're diving deep into the multiverse. Games, documentaries, movies, TV shows. Superman and Lois is a great example that they now know exactly what they're doing, trying to slowly move away from the Arrowverse. Of course, we will get the David Ramsey crossover, but slowly but surely move away. And it's interesting, someone tried to find a flaw in Superman and Lois, saying, why isn't Supergirl being used to help Superman? It's because they're trying to get away from the Arrowverse, because the Arrowverse is a mess. It's a clusterfuck. And it's been a clusterfuck since season 3 of Arrow and the Flash. And we all know that, because they were attracting Daredevil audiences and not the young girls and the young lads with a disposable income, which is what the CW's always been about. That's why they watered them down and made Arrow about Elicity. They should have changed the name from Arrow to Elicity, basically, shouldn't they? But anyway, Stephen Amell was a great Green Arrow. Great. I think he's as good, and this is controversial, as good as Christian Bale in Batman Begins, especially in the first season, in the pilot episode of Arrow. Stephen Amell's got great quality, and it's a shame we've lost him. Hoping he will cameo in Andy Muschietti's Flash movie, because I think he deserves that much. I think he's an amazing guy, a very charitable guy, and I like him, and I like the way he speaks. So we'll see about that. But basically, let me explain to you the multiverse strategy. The multiverse strategy is a simple thing. See, the DC universe has multiple Earths, multiple versions and iterations of Earths with different DC characters. Already, in live action, those multiverses exist. The Christopher Reeve, aka Brandon Routh Superman, is on another Earth from the DCEU. The Nicolas Cage and Michael Keaton Batman and Superman are on another Earth, separate from the DCEU. The Titans universe are on another Earth, separate from the DCEU. The Gotham TV series, separate Earth. Smallville, a separate Earth. We already have a multiverse out there in live action. And all someone has to do is bring it together. And then we've got this Earth 2 that Matt Reeves is developing, beginning with the Batman and his Gotham PD HBO Max TV show as well. So the multiverse thing is already there in live action. And they're going to bring that together. And these characters will cross over. and that most probably and hopefully, because this is what I would like, a multiverse Justice League. Who we got here? Billy, Manchester United Glazers out. Hello, Billy. Good morning to you. So that's the multiverse. It already exists, right? That has a broader appeal already. We've already seen from Sasha Calle's Supergirl, without seeing her speak, her reaction to getting the role was already relatable to me as a struggling younger actor. You know, she's brilliant, she's talented, and she's going to be great. I believe women, girls, boys, and guys will all relate to her. But I think, and I'm going to make a huge statement here, I think she's going to take the female crown of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I think, obviously, with Wonder Woman 84, Gal's crown has slipped because Gal was a producer on Wonder Woman 84. She approved of what Patty Jenkins was doing. As she says, they're great friends and they're a team. So you live together, you rise together, you fall and you die together, right? That's the way it works. So I think Sasha Calle could be the new queen of the DCEU. She's young and she's appealing, she's talented. And as I say, if this is a Supergirl from the streets who has street smarts, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. So that's the answer to the debate I set up this morning, that this new DCEU multiverse strategy as a business is a better business plan than the Snyderverse. And to restore the Snyderverse, there are complexities with that. Gal Gadot's over there. Henry Cavill's over there. How does it work? How does it work? In truth, if you think about it, the only thing that kind of would work is Ben Affleck's The Batman movie being greenlit. Now, I can tell you that Ben Affleck and Warner Brothers have a great relationship. He was going to walk from the Justice League set, that's true. But think about this, and someone actually, a Snyder fan, said this on Twitter. He was going to walk from that Justice League set. He wanted to walk, but the rest of them didn't. You know, Ray Fisher spoke a good game, right? But it was Ben Affleck who told them all, let's walk off the fucking set. You know, like when footballers walk off the pitch, if their black colleagues are racially abused by the crowd, which again, I like that. It's solidarity. But they didn't have any solidarity for Ben. So, and it's interesting, Ben still has the respect of the studio, of David Zaslav, the incoming CEO. So I actually think where we won't get a resurrection of the Snyderverse, a restoration, we will see the Batfleck movie made because they like him. They like him. He's a gentleman. They like him. He's got over his problems. He's back with J-Lo at the moment. I mean, I don't particularly like J-Lo. I like her songs, but I don't think she's right for Ben. But his private life, just like I've said about Amber and Johnny, is none of my business. So I think the Ben Affleck movie will happen. I think they will not delete Batfleck. Batfleck will stay around for as long as he wants to stay around. I think it wasn't just Barbara and Andy Muschietti who were shocked that he said yes just like that. Ben's clearly got plans for this Batman. And I think that's really exciting. So don't expect that Batman to go from the Flash movie. I think he has a future because this is the multiverse after all. And I think that's as close to restore the Snyderverse as you're going to get. So I'm excited that he's in the movie. But I do believe that this plan by Walter Hamada and Ann Sarnoff has got more potential and is more exciting than the Snyderverse. Now, Snyder directed 3 beautiful movies. And in a type of Elseworld type of world, they would work. And you're saying, Mick, well, if we're building a multiverse, why can't Snyder's universe exist? It could have done. If Snyder and his people had conducted themselves in the right way. When you're dealing with people who own the IP, when you're dealing with your bosses and they tell you not to film, release the Snyder Cut, tart it up, finish it off, don't shoot, and he shoots. You know, you're biting your nose off to spite your face, right? Richie Mo, hey Mick, got 5 minutes before the lads pick us up. Awesome, great to see you, Richie. Always great to see you on a stream. And all my subscribers as well. We're just talking about what has got the more financial beneficial potential. The Snyderverse or the new multiverse strategy by Walter Hamada and Ann Sarnoff. And I've said controversially, I think it is Walter's and Ann's plan is more of a better business idea. But the inception of the Snyderverse was never about business, and that's crazy when you think how huge this IP is and how business motivated WB are. They allowed Snyder to come on board. They gave him a chance. They respected Nolan's wishes, and it didn't work out. We can always enjoy those films, but as a business, they're just not going to work. And I've already said, Richie, the closest thing we'll get to the restoration of the Snyderverse is Ben Affleck's The Batman. Yes, I do believe that Ben Affleck's The Batman will survive the Flash movie. He has a great relationship with Warner Brothers, and I think that's as close as anyone who loves the Snyderverse is going to get to seeing more of this Snyderverse. In fact, nothing would excite me more than to see his The Batman. Great potential, and I can't wait to see him in the Flash. And that's how I feel about that. So I think the Restore the Snyderverse thing is failed. And before I leave this, Richie Mo, truthfully, I think it's the Hamada plan as much as I'd love the Snyderverse restored, but too much has happened. Yes, I agree, Richie. Obviously, you've got to be clever in how you conduct yourself. Now, Zack was very clever how he conducted himself and manipulated released the Snyder Cut movement. But that's the movement I want to talk about now. It's a movement split in two. It's a movement divided. I mean, it's always been a movement divided, but we've always been able to get together for the events. There's one about, the leadership of WB. I will not be involved with that one because I believe in the leadership of WB. I think, obviously, Toby will be removed when David Zaslav comes in, and I'm fine with that. Not that I have any strong opinions about Toby because I don't know him too well. And I do know he didn't really have much to do with movies before he got involved with WB, but this industry, as we've discussed before, is all about DNA. So don't forget about that. And so I think we're fandom divided. You've got the elite Snyderverse YouTubers who get the Snyder interviews, who have got connections, and then you've got the other normies who don't really like those people because those people try and tell people how to conduct themselves. Sometimes rightfully so, because some people in the Snyderverse community don't act in the right way and they embarrass the rest of us. But at the end of the day, when you're an elite and when you're up there, people don't take kindly to be told what to do. You shouldn't be saying this, you shouldn't be saying that. Richard Mo, they could use the multiverse to make more movies in Zack's universe, but I think the suits don't want to confuse the general audience. Well, the multiverse is already there, so you're going to have multiple Earths and properties. The problem with the Snyderverse is you've got Henry Cavill. Where's he go? Here, there, everywhere. Gal Gadot, Momoa. As you say, it could be quite confusing. And I think they just got a business plan. I think, as I say, the only one who's going to get anything from that universe is Ben Affleck because he's played it the right way. He made his feelings to Whedon, very obvious. He wanted to walk off the set, but he did come back to do Flash. That says something, and I do feel he still has a future within the DCEU, and it will be very, very interesting what happens. It'll be a sensational move by WB if they bring like the Batfleck movie before the Flash is released. That would maybe mean that he doesn't die, but of course it could also be a prequel movie as well. So I'll be very interested to see what kind of future Batfleck has within the DCEU. So now we're going to read some articles. Now, unfortunately, there's not much breaking news today. People like me, thrive on getting our teeth into big news beats because it gets more footfall into the videos and people get hyped and excited. And those days will come. But today it's just reading random entertainment articles. And please stay here. Please comment down. Please comment either side of me there. And then I will read out your comments while I'm doing this. Marvel and DC writers reveal dream projects in Twitter challenge. Marvel and DC comic book writers are taking to Twitter to pitch their dream miniseries, and hopefully the publishers will choose to buy it. By Thomas Bacon of Screenrant. Richie Mo, it's timeline that could be a bit misunderstood, even though us nerds understand the layman doesn't. Yeah, as I say, where does Cavill go? The Snyderverse? The Central Universe? Gadot? Momoa? It would be weird. I mean, they would have schedules to do it, but it would be difficult. The truth is, the Snyderverse died as soon as people saw BVS. And Warner Brothers were trying to take that universe down from that moment. And I mean, the reaction to Suicide Squad confirmed that that was a problematic kind of franchise, and they needed to do something. It took them a long time. It was in the planning for a long time, and this is where we are now. Writers from Marvel and DC Comics have taken part in a Twitter challenge, revealing which characters they'd love to write. At its best, social media provides comic book fans with an opportunity to interact with writers and artists, learn from industry insiders, and have a friendly dialogue with the people who write and draw their favourite superheroes. It's true that social media often fails to fulfil that promise, but every now and again, there's a moment that shines through and reveals just how much potential there really is. What I would say to you, Thomas Bacon of Screen Rant, and I know what you're getting at, social media are the socials are reactive platforms. If you create something in the mainstream, you are going to get that reaction. And if you can't handle that, you need to get out of Dodge. If that sounds harsh, it's harsh. I put myself out here. Thomas, you write articles for Screen Rant. You put yourself out there. And if you don't want reactions from people, negative, I mean, it can't all be positive, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, and I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. All of that is happening right now on Twitter as a result of a new social media challenge that's being embraced by some of the best writers in Marvel and DC. They've set themselves a challenge. They get one chance to write a 6-issue miniseries on one established comic book character. For some of them, it's an opportunity to announce their dream. For others, to just imagine what they could do with a lesser-known superhero. The challenge is delightful in that it's also an opportunity to see which ones resonate with the fans, and hopefully the big two will be taking note. Take, for example, the idea of Erica Schwartz, Hawkwoman. Schwartz participated in DC's first writers' workshop and is best known for her superb comicology origin urban fantasy series Forgotten Home. She's tremendous at world building and particularly skilled at handling complex female characters. It will be delightful to see her explore Hawkwoman, hopefully in the context of Thanagarian society with just a little magic tossed in for good measure. Isn't it a shame that Erica didn't decide to do a male character? This thing that females should do females, it's rather disappointing, isn't it? You get one chance to write a 6-issue run on about established comic book series. Which one is it for me? And then she talks about, obviously, Hawkwoman. But again, it's this mentality, isn't it? She's a woman. She's great. All women are great, of course, and all men are bad. And, you know, she'll write another great female character. It's not a very interesting challenge if men can only write men and women can only write women. That's just my personal opinion. Eric Paliski. You get one chance to write a 6-issue run on one established comic series. Which one is it for me? And then he's got a picture of Green Arrow. Some writers have gone into a bit more detail, notably Jeff Harris, who's essentially given a full Superman pitch. He wants to explore what DC's premier Boy Scout means to the wider universe, revealing what that familiar emblem has come to represent across the stars. That's a fascinating idea because all too often writers act as though Superman is just a terrestrial hero. It would be great to see Kal-El as Krypton's gift to the universe, not just to Earth. Well, if you know me well enough, you know that I see Superman as a universal hero, certainly not just one of Earth, and certainly not one of just America. Jeff Harris, I want to write a 6-issue run on Superman. I want to write a tale about his impact and influence outside of the planet. See what that familiar emblem represents throughout the galaxy and back home on Earth. Redefine what he means to the universe and multiverse. And you know what? What's interesting about that, to some worlds, the Superman emblem could mean fear. And to some other worlds, it could be hope. That's something I would do anyway. So this could be an interesting exploration by Jeff Harris. Alex Segarra, you get one chance to write a 6-issue run on one established comic series. Which one is it? For me, I don't know this character, but maybe you guys do. That's the character he's talking about. So I don't know who that is. Is it the Question? Well, it looks like a female character. Is there a female Question? I don't know. Anyway, Jim Zub is certainly no stranger to comic book industry, a writer and artist who's able to handle everything from Conan the Barbarian, who's given a deadly new weapon, the tooth of the Night Star to the champions. It seems his dream miniseries involves a certain Sorcerer Supreme, and that will certainly be a fascinating prospect. Hopefully, he'd pull art duties as well as writing the book, because it would be great to see Zub channel his inner Ditko. Jim Zub, you get one chance to write a 6-issue run on one established comic series. Which one is it? For me, of course, it's Doctor Strange. So I think this is an interesting challenge, apart from my earlier criticisms. I think it is interesting. And it would be exciting to see these different writers tackle different iterations. So let's see what happens with that. Oh, my mate Dan Slott, who blocked me. And then there's the most delightful possibility of all, as legendary Amazing Spider-Man writer Dan Slott expressed his desire to write Doctor Who. No, 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 you ain't never touching Doctor Who, you nut job. It's died to write. Dr. Slott has never exactly been subtle about his love for the BBC's longest-running sci-fi TV show. His excellent Silver Surfer run was clearly inspired by the relationship between David Tennant's Doctor and his companion Rose, and frankly, he handled the dynamic even better than the TV series. Yes, sure he did. But it would be an absolute delight to see Slott turn his eyes to the actual Team TARDIS. No, thank you. I'm saying no, and if I say no, it's not happening. Get away, Slott. You get one chance to write a 6-issue run on the established comic series. Which one is it? For me, Doctor Who comic. No, thank you. Make sure, everyone, he doesn't get this opportunity. Thank you very much. Ed Barrison's dream of writing a Speedball is a little more unexpected, but it would be fun to see it realised. Speedball and your New Warriors are Z-list superheroes. Even a Marvel television show never got off the ground, in spite of what was reportedly a tremendous pilot. And they really do deserve some love from Marvel Comics. Bryson would be the perfect writer to channel the youth and exuberance of energy-bouncing superhero. You get one chance to write a 6-issue run on the established comic series. Which one is it? For me, there you go, we have a picture. Leroy Kong, the Snyderverse will always be a win for me. I don't think it has a broad enough appeal to beat the Sarnoff and Hamada plan, Leroy, but you're entitled to your opinion, of course. Speaking of New Warriors, Jay Faber, best known for his tremendous Generation X and New Warriors run, fancies writing the lesser-known DC superhero Nightshade. Daughter of a US senator, she is the only person capable of accessing the haunted dimension known as the Land of the Nightshades. Faber imagines a supernatural political thriller that would be seriously exciting to read. A political thriller. Political thrillers 30, 40 years ago were interesting, but we all know what they mean by political thrillers today, don't we now? Jay Faber, you get one chance to write a 6-issue run on one established comic series. Which one is it? So hard to pick, but today I'd write a killer supernatural political thriller starring Nightshade. And there's Nightshade. So that's pretty awesome. Hopefully comic book publishers are following this discussion, because many of these ideas would resonate with fans. So many of these ideas would resonate with fans. What's more, they'd all be low risk, because these are all miniseries rather than ongoing, meaning that Marvel and DC would lose nothing by commissioning them. We'll see what happens. So Leroy Kong, the Hamadaverse will not work. They all are going to be fired. No. Do you wish they were? Your opinion, of course, entitled to it. So what we got next? Right. This is a funny one. Well, I think it's funny anyway. So welcome to the entertainment industry, and this is the funniest thing I've ever fucking read. Thor Love and Thunder's title teases the MCU's first LGBTQ+ romance. The love in Thor Love and Thunder more likely refers to Valkyrie, who will be searching for her queen in the MCU sequel to Thor Ragnarok by Mitch Brooker's Screen Rant. Wait a minute. This refers to a supporting character and not the actual fucking character who's the lead, even though we all know Miss Portman, DNA entitled already, is going to be the lead of this movie. If you don't like this kind of alt-left propaganda, you're probably not going to like this movie. And I think this could be one that we could all skip. I will watch it. It's an MCU movie. I have no issues with the LGBTQ plus community. Get my words out properly and letters out properly. But at the end of the day, right, this furthers nothing. Let me tell you why I don't like this. Because this woman, if that's how she identifies as in the movie, I don't know. I don't get it all right. I'm 48. This is all new to me. Like my parents, it was all new when they saw punk rockers with sticky out hair and tattoos were a new thing, and all the olds were like rebellious and they didn't like all that. Like this generation is a bit finding it difficult to accept, these new kind of identities and genders and non-genders. It's difficult if you're a bit older and not ready to accept new things. But, now everyone has tattoos, and one day everyone will accept the LGBTQ community, which is amazing, right? So this is my problem with it. Leroy Kong, SJW propaganda ruins everything. So my problem is that this character, Valkyrie, right? Is it Valkyrie? Basically, she's going to be searching for her queen, right? And so it'll probably come easy for her. She'll snap her fingers, find someone, they'll be together, and that'll be it. But the LGBTQ plus community, that's not how things are to them. Everything's difficult. Coming out is difficult because you're met with hatred, right? And toxicity and bias against you. And just to even claim that you want to find a queen would be a very big statement in the public where everyone has an opinion about everyone these days, right? It wouldn't be just, hey, I'm a beautiful woman, or however, again, Valkyrie, identifies as, right? I'm just going to get a queen. Boom, I've met someone, you're a great woman, amazing. Of course, there could be a love story here, maybe with Lady Sif. Is it Lady Sif? Or maybe Portman's Jane, maybe Lady Jane, or whatever they call her, right? Because she's going to be 4 in this movie, right? But 4 will still be 4 as well. So I've never read this comic book, but there could be a controversial one here. Maybe it could be Portman's character, or it could be Lady Sif. So it'd be interesting. Obviously, with Lady Sif, she hasn't really had much to do, apart from being an awesome fighter. They may go with that, which I suppose could be interesting. So let's read on. The MCU so far has been very light in terms of LGBTQ plus characters, call the police, and queer storylines, but that could change in Thor: Love and Thunder. While Marvel Studios movies added their first openly gay character in the form of a cameo from Joe Russo in Avengers Endgame, no major character in any of the more than 20 so far released movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been depicted as queer, call the police. That's despite many of those same characters from Loki to Korg to Captain Marvel having a history of LGBTQ plus. By the way, if I said the letters wrong earlier, I'm sorry. As I say, this is all new to me. Anyway, so the history of the LGBTQ plus identity in the comics where they first appeared, in the same way Marvel has had a spotty record in its depiction of its women heroes or heroes of color. Boring. Nobody cares. Well, I don't care. LGBTQ plus heroes have been left off the screen, with the most recent accusations being around queer baiting in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, so you're going to praise Falcon and the Winter Soldier for having a black Captain America, and now there's always something, isn't it? There's always something. These people are never pleased, are they? So it's hilarious. Thor: Love and Thunder will draw from the beloved Mighty Thor series of Marvel Comics written by Jason Aaron. It will feature many characters from previous MCU installments, including Thor Chris Hemsworth himself, Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson, Korg, Taika Waititi, Sif, Jamie Alexander, and Star-Lord Chris Pratt. The main villain of the movie will be the new MCU character called Gore, the God Butcher, Christian Bale. The comic story sees the Thor lose his ability to lift Mjolnir. So basically, he'll be Thor, but he won't be able to lift the hammer. Guess who will be able to? Signaling his unworthiness, while Jane Foster inherits the weapon, granting her Thor's abilities while she deals with a cancer diagnosis. This film will also need to address Thor's state of mind and physical shape. He's still Fat Thor, and his place among the Guardians of the Galaxy as seen at the end of Endgame. Isn't it funny though, right, that we're allowed to use the term fat 4? Now, normally, if you say the term fat, it sounds derogatory and people are accused of body shaming. It's just amazing what stands these days. People are it's a bit like vegetarians who say fish don't have a life, so don't eat them. These people continue to expose themselves. In both comics and MCU films, Thor has typically been depicted as romantically interested in or guided towards a relationship with either Jane Foster or Sif, with both confirmed to appear in the Thor sequel. It might be assumed that the love in the title of the film refers to the god of thunder settling down with one of these two. While Thor has dated Jane Foster in the past in the MCU, they were separated by the time of Thor Ragnarok. Thor was encouraged by his father Odin towards a relationship with Sif in Thor, The Dark World. Neither Jane nor Sif appears in the third Thor movie for film, but this might all be a feint. The evidence points to Valkyrie, not Thor, being the one to experience titular love in Thor: Love and Thunder. Or you've decided that that's what's going to happen because of your bias in your politics. Tessa Thompson has said in interviews that she portrayed her character to be bisexual, even apart from the glorious image above of the Valkyrie walking the rainbow bridge of the Bifrost. Thompson was aware that the character was historically bisexual in the comics and brought that into her portrayal in the MCU. And the director of Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, even shot a brief scene which he was elided from the final cut, where a woman is seen exiting Valkyrie's portals on Sakaar. Very exciting. I'm so sorry I missed that. Not hinting at her sexuality. Thompson also says that one of the women who dies in the Valkyrie flashback sequence was the character's lover. But all overt references to Valkyrie bisexuality were cut from the film. Viewers last saw Valkyrie assuming the position of King of New Asgard on Earth in Avengers Endgame, and Thompson has gone on to say that the next Thor film will follow Valkyrie in this plot. As at Marvel's 2019 Comic-Con presentation per IO9, she said, as new king, she needs to find her queen. That will be her first order of business. She has some ideas. Keep you posted. So there you go. I'm sure that's going to motivate you to go and see a movie. Anyway, Marvel Studios producer Kevin Feige has also confirmed that this will happen in the upcoming sequel. They would not commit to how much of an impact it would have on the storyline of the film. Nothing. It's going to be a side note. Jamie Alexander has also chipped into the conversation, saying offering up her character of Sif to play the part of Valkyrie's queen. Whatever form the relationship takes, it looks as though there's a reason to believe the love in the title of Thor: Love and Thunder doesn't refer to the title character. Of course not. Why would it? Despite the return of his two main romantic interests, instead, it might be Marvel committing properly to depicting Valkyrie as a queer hero on screen with an LGBTQ plus community romance to match. And if it's earned a mention in the title of the movie, surely it forms an important part of the narrative. Nope. It would be Marvel's first depiction of such a character, and hopefully not its last. I don't care if it's there. I don't care if it's not there, but it will not be referenced. It will not be a big deal. It will be a subplot. They just want to look like they care. They pretend to be inclusive, but they're not. They couldn't give a shit. It's just where we are now in the industry and in the world. It's, basically it's pride time now, isn't it, right? So the LGBTQ plus community are celebrating, and it's beautiful and it's a great time. And I love it too, right? But there's a lot of straight people out there going, oh, yes, the LGBTQ plus community, I love you. When you don't, you're liars. You just want to seem cool and with it, right? And if I was part of that community, I would be offended by these fucking frauds. I really would. Anyway, the Gaming Mania, going to give the Hamadaverse a good chance. But if the Snyderverse ever has a way of returning, I'd happily welcome it personally. Of course I would. If it came back, unlikely at the moment, probably a Hamadaverse failure maybe. But even if the Hamadaverse fails, that they would maybe still not bring the Snyderverse back. So wishing for that maybe won't get you what you want anyway, but we will see. So that's that one. Yeah, I mean, all I can say about that personally is that I don't care. I don't care about people's sexuality. or genders or non-genders or fluidities. I don't care. I deal with people, as you can see from my social media footprint, person to person. If I like you, I like you. I can have a laugh, I can have a joke. I don't care what you represent or how you identify. You should judge people on who they are and how they exude themselves, not on their sexuality, not where they're from. This is alt-left propaganda, and it isn't great because actually it's nothing. It's not about love. It's not about compassion. It's pretend love and it's pretend compassion from soulless, empty people. Right, we go on. Paul Bettany isn't contracted for future Marvel projects after WandaVision. Though many are expecting White Vision to return somehow, WandaVision's Paul Bettany isn't currently contracted for any additional MCU projects by Rachel Labanotti of Screen Rant. Paul Bettany admits he currently isn't contracted for any Marvel projects beyond WandaVision. Bettany joined the MCU right when it first began, lending his voice to Tony Stark's Robert Downey Jr.'s trusty AI system Jarvis. It wasn't until 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron that Bettany truly appeared on screen as the synthesoid Vision. Though Vision later perished twice in Avengers Infinity War, he somehow found new life in the Disney Plus series WandaVision. Earlier this year, Bettany appeared alongside Elizabeth Olsen for the show, which is currently drumming up awards buzz. Really? Bobcat, hey Mickey, hey, your notification didn't work. Oh, right. I don't know why, my friend. I can't control what YouTube do, but I do apologise. As WandaVision revealed, that I'm the same. Sometimes I get notifications that these people just do whatever they fucking want, don't they? As WandaVision revealed, the vision present throughout the show isn't actually the one from the... Let me say that again. The vision present throughout the show isn't actually the one from past MCU installments. He was born out of Wanda Maximoff's Olsen's grief and in a tragic twist disappeared at the end of the series when she dispersed her magic. At the same time, yet another version of Vision was left to run the MCU as S.W.O.R.D's White Vision flew off into the sky in the WandaVision finale. Many viewers had questions about where White Vision would appear next, but it remains to be seen what will happen with him. Bobcat, it's all good. It isn't your fault at all. Yeah, there's nothing I can do, unfortunately, yeah. Anyway, even Bettany is in the dark about his MCU future. While speaking to the playlist about WandaVision, Bettany was asked if in regards to his continued survival as White Vision, he always knew that there might be more to his story. The actor admitted that he still doesn't know what the future holds, and what's more, he doesn't even have a contract with Marvel right now, Bettany said. Oh, no, I don't have a contract. I don't know that. I don't know that at all. And all that I do know, and all that I do know is, as far as this sort of tranche of press goes, it's for an Emmy push, which is for a limited series. So it doesn't look like that's happening again. I mean, I guess it would be difficult to introduce White Vision and not deal with him in some way, but we have not discussed that. Marvel is often notoriously tight-lipped about, he seemed a bit worried about talking about it. I think he probably has got a contract. He probably will be appearing, but they don't want him talking about it, reading between the lines. Bobcat, I have a number of squad members in my film. There is a total of 21 squad members in my film as of now, and that's just squad members, not including villains or the government. Awesome. So Marvel is often notoriously tight-lipped about what the future holds for their actors. Most recently, those like Anthony Mackie and Tom Hiddleston have stated they don't know what's next for their Marvel characters, even though the door seems open for them to continue. WandaVision's lack of a definitive ending for White Vision seemed to indicate there was more in store for him, and that still might be the case. However, Marvel is keeping that a secret for the time being. Some might be quick to assume Bettany is lying, which I'm saying he is, about what's ahead, because he's never lied before, has he? Lying about what's ahead for him in the MCU, as actors have a habit of downplaying certain things until an official announcement is made. While that is possible, it's also just as likely Bettany's telling the truth. No, he's not. He's just playing both sides because that's what journalists do. In many respects, WandaVision felt like an end to Bettany's MCU arc as well. No, you're wrong. As his contract, White Vision could easily bring him back, but until Marvel actually confirms that, everything remains up in the air. No, he's coming back Rachel. He's coming back. It's obvious. We all know it. Let's not play coy and don't be afraid of Marvel, because you shouldn't be. Anyway, that's that. Oh, we got a bit of Shazam Fury of the Gods news. Nothing too interesting. It's about an Easter egg, but we'll read it out. Bobcat, as you can tell, there is a lot of casualties as only 4 people live. Wow. The more people who die, the better, man. Shazam 2, director reveals lights out Easter egg you won't see in movie. So what's the point? Anyway, director David F. Sandberg reveals the lights out Easter egg he did in the DC Extended Universe sequel Shazam 2 that viewers won't see in the film by Grant Herman's A Screenrant. Director David F. Sandberg has revealed the lights out Easter egg he hid in the DC Extended Universe sequel Shazam 2 that viewers won't see in the film, the 7th installment in the DCEU. The first Shazam centered on troubled teen orphan Billy Batson as the titular wizard and lists him in becoming the titular champion and protecting the world from the 7 deadly sins. With the help of foster home brother and superhero fanatic Freddie Freeman, Billy learns how to handle his powers and faces off against the villainous Dr. Thaddeus Savant. Before making his splash in the comic book world, Sandberg broke out with his horror short, Lights Out, which went viral shortly after its release and was acquired by Warner Brothers and James Wan for a feature-length adaptation directed by Sandberg. The film centered on a young woman as she comes to learn the terrifying entity she encountered as a child as real and must confront her fears and her issues with her mother to keep her brother safe. The film was a hit upon release, garnering very positive reviews from critics and grossing nearly $149 million worldwide against its $4.9 million budget. Wow, that's amazing. And Warner Brothers swiftly ordered a sequel. As production continues on the follow-up to the 2019 DCEU hit, Sandberg has taken to Instagram to reveal a photo from the bedroom set of Billy and Freddie. Hidden on the wall next to a poster of iconic 80s adventure pick The Goonies is a poster of the director's horror hit Lights Out, which he intended to include in the film until realizing the angles used in the movie didn't show that part of the wall. Check out the image below. Oh, wow, look at that. That's pretty awesome. So that's the bedroom. So that's pretty cool, right? So already another DCEU creative teasing us and showing pictures, which is very exciting. A lights out reference you won't see in the movie, since we ended up shooting the scenes in this room in a way where you never see this part of the wall, which is a shame, isn't it? Bobcat, there's a character called Friendly Power who shoots bolts from his hands. Oh, I nearly said from his hands, but as their names imply, they can only shoot bolts as their teammates. So I really scraped the bottom of the barrel. Emmanuel Cruz, have you seen the redesign for Bloodsport in the comics inspired by the movie? I have, Emmanuel, by the way, and I showed it off this morning right here, when the video first started. So if you want to rewatch that after this live of course, I want you to stay here and watch this live, but maybe go back and rewatch this live. You'll see me showing it off, and I think it's fantastic that the comics are really inspired by James Gunn's artistry. That says something about the film already, and everyone can be very confident about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Whether it's creating a whole network of loosely connected stories and characters akin to Kevin Smith's You Are Asking Universe, or subtle nods like Lee Wano and James Wan's inclusion of Saw's Billy the Puppet in all of their films, directors love to include references to their past works. Though some may feel forced or excessive, it generally proves to be a fun bit of fan service to those who follow the filmmakers across their careers. Engineer jumps. Given Sandberg's past in the horror genre, the inclusion of the 7 deadly sins as the film's villains made for an excellent usage for his talent of chilling viewers to their bones. It's unfortunate, though, that the poster of Lights Out will not be seen in the final cut of Shazam 2 due to the angles utilised in the shoot. Granted, the milk crate parked in front of it and various other knickknacks would have made it so only the eagle-eyed viewer would have caught it, but it would have been a treat for those paying close enough attention. Fans will now have to keep their fingers crossed that Lights Out, a green light sequel, will finally materialise to bring Sandberg back to the horror fold. Bobcat, his new costume is awesome. It absolutely is. Maybe we'll get that costume in the sequel. But of course, it's inspired from that film. What am I talking about? Anyway, so that's that one. Good news, everyone. There was no new Flash last night. Bobcat, the costumes I'm using are comics accurate, like James. I have Boomerang in a Hawaiian shirt, but instead of flowers, it's Boomerang. Ooh, that's a nifty idea, isn't it? The Flash Season 7, Episode 12 return date. And how many episodes are left? Yeah, how many episodes are people going to have to sit through, right? The Flash Season 7 has already aired 11 episodes, but the pandemic shortened the season. Here's when the next episode will air and how many remain by May Abdul-Baki of Screen Rant. Let's have a sip of water. Right, let's go. When is Flash's Season 7, Episode 12 return date, and how many episodes are left? The veteran Arrowverse series returned for Season 7 in March, wrapping up its Mirrorverse storyline from Season 6 before moving into a Speed Force storyline that featured 3 new forces: Strength, Sage, and Steel Force, in addition to the original Speed Force, who had once again taken the guise of Barry Allen's mother, Nora. With The Flash already having aired 11 episodes, there are still quite a few left before the series wraps its 7th season. The reaction to this season has been really negative, and Speed Force looking like Barry's mother, Nora, has not gone down well either. The Flash Season 7's Episode 12, called Goodbye Vibrations, will air on Tuesday, June the 8th. Well, that's not too long to wait, is it? 2021 at 8 p.m. ET. The episode will officially bid farewell to Carlos Valder's Cisco Ramon, with the actor's departure from the show after 7 seasons having been announced shortly before. Valdez has been a series regular on The Flash in Season 1, and his character's exit was instigated by a fear vision that saw him still stuck working at Star Labs after 40 years, while everyone else had moved on with their lives. The episode promises to be an emotional one, as Cisco says goodbye to his friends and leaves Central City and the life he's built for himself there behind him to start anew with girlfriend Camila. Of course, there has to be a girlfriend, doesn't there? Due to pandemic-related shutdowns last year, The Flash didn't begin filming Season 7 until October. The show typically begins production in July, with additional days needed for filming because of new health protocols and COVID-19 testing, and a late production start. The Flash won't be getting the series' usual 22-episode season order. Rather, Season 7 will have only 18 episodes. That's 4 episodes less. It's not really a big deal, is it? I mean, you're acting like, they had 5 episodes, 18 episodes in total. After episode 11, called Family Matters Part 2, leaves the series with only 7 episodes left. Again, 18 episodes is very impressive. Shut up. The series, with only 7 episodes left before it wraps up its remaining storylines, with the Season 7 finale scheduled to air on July the 20th. This also means that when the show returns for Goodbye Vibrations on June the 8th, there won't be any more breaks airing uninterrupted until its season finale. With the Force's storyline over, the Flash must still contend with the villain Godspeed, who has shown up a couple of times thus far, but whose identity remains a huge mystery the series has yet to tackle. He will likely be the primary villain for the second half of the season. Fans can also look forward to the arrival of Pit Speedsters Bart and Nora West Allen, Barry and Irish children from the future, who will appear in the 150th episode of The Flash, and which will also see the return of Jay Garrick. Could it be possible that Jay Garrick and his son and daughter from the future could be taking over this Flash show? And maybe Grant Gustin is going to retire as the Flash. While the Flash will have a truncated Season 7, you can't even call it a truncated Season 7, my friend, because of the pandemic. How many times are you going to say this? The series Season 8 will likely return to the usual 22-episode season format, beginning with a 5-episode event that will see other characters from throughout the Arrowverse appear in individual episodes. Until then, The Flash has quite a few storylines left to cover before Season 7 wraps, but there are 7 episodes left, which is hopefully enough time to turn things around for a satisfying end to the season. He means turn it around because the season has been, well, the reactions to the season have been the most negative for this show I've ever heard. Bobcat, I love how terrible some of them are. I barely have to write. I just let the story play out as the characters would handle them, and I don't decide who dies. It plays out in front of me. Interesting, but you do have to decide who dies, right? Yeah? Anyway, that's that one. So no more Flash for a while. Now, this is an interesting one. This is from Elizabeth Olsen, and Lizzie is teasing a Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Scarlet Witch will have a thicker accent in Doctor Strange too. But why? Elizabeth Olsen says Scarlet Witch will return to her thicker Slovakian accent when she appears in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness by Adam Bence of Screen Rant. According to Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch will have a thicker accent in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Wanda Maximoff was introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron alongside her twin brother, Pietro, aka Quicksilver. As they are from the fictional Eastern European country of Sokovia, the Maximoff twins speak with a heavy Slavic-like accent. Wanda maintained this accent for Captain America Civil War, but it changed drastically for future installments in the MCU, which is stupid. Talk about bad continuity and connectivity, and people marvel, no pun intended, at the MCU and how great they are at the connectivity. When audiences next saw Scarlet Witch in Avengers Infinity War, her Sokovian accent had disappeared almost entirely. The Russo brothers provided an in-universe explanation for this change, as Wanda officially joined the Avengers during Civil War and underwent spy training courtesy of Black Widow. Oh my God. As that film sees her on the run alongside Captain America, Wanda had to adopt a more American-sounding accent to render herself less identifiable. She altered her accent again for WandaVision to mimic the distinct dialect of the 1950s and 1960s American sitcoms, which the series even acknowledges. In 2019, Marvel announced that Wanda Maximoff would next appear in Benedict Cumberbatch-led sequel to 2016's Doctor Strange. Bobcat, yeah, but not the only character who I know isn't dying is Harley. I let things play out and characters make stupid choices which led to chaos, and some choices saved some of their lives. In an oral history of WandaVision by Rolling Stone, Elizabeth Olsen says that Scarlet Witch will return to having a thicker accent in Doctor Strange 2, since it is more accurate to the character. Read Olsen's full quote below. So this is what Lizzie had to say. So that started with Civil War. The Russo's directors, Anthony and Joseph Russo, said, can she just have a softer accent because she's been in America and has to have been speaking English more? So I was like, sure, I do. I do have to say that in Wanda's next appearance in 2022's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, after the experience she has in WandaVision, she goes back to an accent that's more true to her. Now that I feel a little bit more ownership of the character, I feel like she does retreat back to having this more honest expression. The sitcom part was totally different because she's trying to hold on to an American sitcom world and play the part the best she can. Bobcat, they aren't going up against an army, but supervillains and mutated bug people. That does sound interesting. Scarlet Witch's ever-changing accent has been a point of contention amongst fans, which is what led the Russo brothers to address the inconsistency, while Olsen's explanation here why the Russos decided to do away with Wanda's thick Slovakian accent does not align entirely with their previous explanation. It does make sense that her accent would soften over time as she lives in America. No, because when we saw her initially, it wasn't like there's a huge time jump from Age of Ultron to her next appearance that her accent would soften so quickly. That is BS. They talk about representation and inclusion and minorities, and then they want to, evaporate somebody's accent. They're hypocrites. They lose their shit over one thing, these people, and quite happy to dissolve somebody's Slovakian accent, right? Pathetic. The Russo's explanation of Wanda adopting an American accent as part of her spy training doesn't entirely hold water either. Considering that Wanda still spoke with an American accent when alone with Vision, that's a good point. When there was no risk of being identified, why Wanda's Slovakian accent would return after years of living in America is a mystery for now. Still, also makes a good point about it being a more honest depiction of the character. Hopefully, audiences will hear the latest iteration of Scarlet Witch's accent in the first trailer. Right, listen to me. My mother left Cyprus at 20, and her English was always broken, always. She had an understanding of English and could speak broken English, but her accent was always the same from the moment I was born and I could remember her, right? Until the day that she died. So this bullshit that she should lose her accent after years in America is bullshit. You see, they are racists, and these are racists hiding in inclusive people's bodies. I told you, they're frauds. They're frauds. I told you that. Because we all know what their issue is here, because basically she comes from a Russian province, basically. Tell me if I'm wrong. And they don't like Russia. This is how these people work, my friends. Their racism is always there to be seen. So, MCU theory. Taskmaster is Hydra's new Winter Soldier. Black Widow's villain, Taskmaster, could be revealed to be Hydra's newest iteration of the Winter Soldier to set up the character's MCU future by Cooper Hood of Screen Rant. This actually sounds interesting. This would make me more interested in the film if this was the new iteration of the Winter Soldier. We will see. Let's have a read. Bobcat, one villain who is my favourite personally in this is Black Mask because he has like a split personality. Roman Sionis doesn't kill anyone. Black Mask does. So Roman's hands are clean in his mind. That's a really great concept, my friend. I like that. As a writer and a storyteller myself, I think that's genius. Bobcat, Roman sees Roman and Black Mask as two completely different people. I'm surprised that's never been done in the comics. It's brilliant. Taskmaster could be Hydra's new Winter Soldier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, following villain's debut in Black Widow. The long-awaited solo film for Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff is the first movie of Phase 4, but it will be a prequel set during the middle of Phase 3. Black Widow takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. Oh, sorry, it takes place between Captain America Civil War, not before, and Avengers Infinity War. Despite this setting and Black Widow's ultimate fate, the Phase 4 film will still play a role in setting up the future. This will be done with the introduction of characters like Yelena Belova, Florence Pugh, and Red Guardian David Harbour, and possibly Taskmaster as well. The mysterious Taskmaster is the main villain, Black Widow. Taskmaster is an incredibly skilled fighter who has the ability to copy any physical ability seen. Trailers for Black Widow showed a character watching Natasha's fights to learn her moves, but Taskmaster also copies Black Panther, Captain America, Hawkeye, Iron Man, and Spider-Man in the movie. Marvel Studios has managed to keep the identity of who is under Taskmaster's armor a secret, so this is going to be huge. So this could be a really known. I mean, imagine if Taskmaster is Tony Stark, some multiverse version of Tony Stark. That would be fucking nuts. What a reveal would that be? Leading to popular theories about Rachel Weisz's Melina Voskal or O.T. Fabregas Mason, regardless of who Taskmaster really is. The deadly killer has ties to the Red Room and is obedient to its Russian leaders. Yes, so if Weiss, the mother of Black Widow, Romanoff, is revealed as Taskmaster, that would be devastating, wouldn't it? And that would be a future arc for the new Black Widow to deal with as well. So I would absolutely love that. Although the MCU has a tendency to kill off its villain after one appearance, there is hope that Taskmaster will be part of the shared universe for years to come. Black Widow could reveal the origin of Taskmaster and set up the character's MCU future. It is possible this could include a connection to Hydra and making Taskmaster the organization's latest loyal killer, the Winter Soldier. Hydra's origins might be tied to Germany and the Nazis, but the organization's reach spreads far and wide in the MCU. The Soviet Union was among the most important countries in the continuing Hydra's work after World War II and before the infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D. began. The Soviet Union played an instrumental role in the formation of the Winter Soldier program. Arnim Zola worked with the Soviet Union to transform Bucky Barnes into the original Winter Soldier. Hydra and the Soviet Union then used the Winter Soldier to eliminate enemies around the world for decades before, expanding their plans for the Super Soldier program. Hydra founded the main base for the Winter Soldier program in Siberia, Russia, sometime before 1991. This is where Bucky Barnes was held in a cristasis between the missions and Captain America Civil War, showed him waking up, there before going to kill Howard and Maria Stark on December 16th. After Bucky killed Tony Stark's parents and took Howard Stark's super soldier serum, Hydra gave the serum to its top soldier and made multiple other Winter Soldiers when they tried to rebel against Hydra. They were put in cristasis for decades. Once the Soviet Union was dissolved and the base abandoned it, it wasn't until 2016 that Baron Zemo traveled to Siberian base and killed the additional Winter Soldiers. Bobcat, I've also decided not to use Deathstroke on the squad, but against them. Then I have a Clayface, and I really use the actor's side of him, so he can fight Harley as Joker or other people as people they love. Interesting. And then, of course, Clayface can get really large and monstrous. He's trying to find a cure in this and test them on kidnapped people, mutating them. Wow. Hydra hasn't played a major role. In the MCU since Captain America, the Winter Soldier, dismantled S.H.I.E.L.D. after Hydra's infiltration. However, the organization's catchphrase is a cut-off one, and head, and two more shall take its place. So it might not be long before Hydra returns. Black Widow could be a great place to do so and reveal that the resurging organization has a new lethal killing machine in Taskmaster. Even if Taskmaster doesn't take on the Winter Soldier, the villain could still be an agent of Hydra, or even its possible MCU replacement. Whoever is underneath Taskmaster's armor, the individual is already in a similar place in the MCU as the Winter Soldier used to be. Taskmaster is not the leader of a criminal organization, but rather the muscle behind it. Black Widow trailers have shown the Red Room's leader, Dreykov, sending Taskmaster on a mission to defeat Natasha, now that she's back in Russia. This has sparked some speculation that Taskmaster could be programmed to obey Dreykov's orders, just as how Hydra programmed Bucky to follow their commands as the Winter Soldier. Black Widow could reveal that Dreykov and the Red Rooms are tied to what is left of Hydra and possibly evolves into Leviathan, giving him access to their methods for brainwashing. Taskmaster could become even more like a Winter Soldier if Black Widow reveals that the character is a super soldier too. That is not part of Taskmaster's power set in the comics, but it would fit with Phase 4. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier thoroughly explored the secrets of the super soldier program and confirmed that there are other secret super soldiers in the MCU. With Isaiah Bradley, Black Widow will add to this list with the introduction of Red Guardian. If Russia already has a version of super soldier serum, Taskmaster could be injected with these powers too. In that scenario, Taskmaster could be an obedient killing machine to Hydra and Russia with an even greater skill set in combat than past Winter Soldiers. Being Hydra's new Winter Soldier would add a new wrinkles to Taskmaster's MCU future in Phase 4 and beyond. Hydra having some control over Taskmaster's actions could make the character sympathetic to a point in Black Widow, especially if the person is someone Natasha knows from her past. This would create obvious parallels between Natasha and Taskmaster's dynamic, and that of Captain America and Bucky. Even though Black Widow will likely be the only time Taskmaster and Natasha are on screen together, it would leave the character in an intriguing position where he or she can remain a villain or become more of a hero. No, because we've got a new Black Widow that's going to be in this film. The sister, right? Who's going to be played by the woman I read out earlier, whose name I already forgot. Florence Pugh, right? So it's going to continue with her. So it'd be awesome if it was the mum. And Rachel Weisz would be a great added full-time addition to the MCU. Taskmaster is one of the upcoming MCU characters on many fans' lists for potential Thunderbolt roster. Either way, this could include working with the original Winter Soldier if Bucky becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts. Taskmaster's place on the team might also bring the character into contact with Baron Zemo, since Zemo thought he eliminated the remnants of the Winter Soldier program, except for Bucky. Learning that Taskmaster potentially has ties to it and Hydra could be fascinating. Zemo might have to accept that he didn't complete his mission or devise a plan to eliminate Taskmaster as well. But that is easier said than done. Once Black Widow is released, it will become clear whether this Taskmaster theory pans out or not. Right, where are we? Bobcat. And then, of course, Clayface can get really large and monstrous. He's trying to find a cure in this and test them on kidnapped people, mutating them. Bobcat, I love so many stupid characters after this, like Colour Kid, Shaggy Man, and Folding Paper Man. Just these completely stupid characters that somehow work if you use them right. So, yes, that kind of potential about Taskmaster is very, very interesting, by the way. Very, very interesting. So where are we? What story are we on next? Because if Taskmaster is actually the new Winter Soldier, that would be fucking amazing. Morning, Ronnie Dodge. There you are. Wakey, wakey, sleepyhead. How are you doing? I've been reading articles, a few more articles to go. I don't know if you're going to work or you can stick around for a little while. Please stick around if you can. I don't know how long I'm on. I've been running this for an hour and 10 minutes now. I've got a lot of articles to get through, at least 2 or 3, maybe 4. So please stick around. We've just been talking about Taskmaster and Black Widow potentially being the next Winter Soldier. And we don't know who that is. And it could be Rachel Weisz, a.k.a. Black Widow's, the Romanoff's mother, which would be great going forward for Florence Powell's new Black Widow as well. So anyway, Ronnie Dodge, I'm stick around. Awesome. Why A Quiet Place 2 beat Cruella at the box office by Rick Stevenson of Screen Rant. Why A Quiet Place 2 beat Cruella at the box office. A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella led one of the best weekends movie theatres have seen since the pandemic began. But A Quiet Place took the top spot. Well, that's obvious, isn't it? Memorial Day weekend saw one of the box office best performances since the COVID-19 pandemic began, with A Quiet Place Part 2 and Disney's Cruella earning the numbers 1 and number 2 spots respectively. The two films represent two different release approaches as theatres start the journey back to pre-COVID normalcy. And despite its R rating, A Quiet Place 2 has come out as the clear winner. That victory is due to a number of factors, including the series' respective pedigree and Cruella's theatrical streaming hybrid release. I knew you were going to use the Disney Plus streaming release of Cruella as an excuse because you were saying it's good considering, before you were saying it's good box office considering that it's on streaming as well. You can't use it as an excuse for it to be beaten. I'm sorry. Quiet Place was just more popular. Better movie, end of story. Like many such businesses, movie theatres have struggled immensely in the COVID era. Safety concerns, occupancy restrictions, and shutdowns in major metropolitan areas have cut down ticket sales by orders of magnitude. In response, many studios have delayed release dates, sent movies directly to streaming platforms, or adopted a streaming theatrical hybrid release model to maximize public exposure. While these methods have mitigated some of the financial damage on the studio side, they've also exacerbated the box office severe drop-off. As more and more American adults have been vaccinated for COVID-19 and restrictions begin to lift, cinemas have started on a long-awaited road toward pre-pandemic normalcy. The future was glimpsed over the Memorial Day weekend in a strong theatrical showing led by Quiet Place 2 and Cruella. However, while both films did well, A Quiet Place dominated at the number 1 spot. Here's why. Basically, get ready for excuses for Disney time. A Quiet Place 2 smashed all previous pandemic-era box office debut records by breaking 47 million gross in the traditional 3-day timeframe and an estimated $57 million across all 4 days of the extended weekend. That trails its Godzilla vs. Kong, which previously held the COVID opening weekend gold medal with 48.5 million, but which isn't bad, is it? Grossed over its first 5 days in theatres. The most shocking thing about A Quiet Place's haul, however, and the reason many are looking at it as a promising signal of theatres returning to normal, is that the film's gross so far is nearly the same as its projected pre-pandemic box office take. In other words, A Quiet Place Part 2 is doing about as well as it was supposed to have done before the pandemic struck. While not hitting the same kinds of numbers as A Quiet Place, Cruella also had a strong weekend in the number 2 spot. The 101 Dalmatians prequel grossed close to 22 million over its first 3 days, which is not great, it's solid, and projected 27 million over the whole 4-day span. That's a far cry short of what Disney's big budget summer blockbusters take home in normal conditions, but it's an encouraging performance given the current global circumstances, still it falls short of a Quiet Place record-smashing weekend, and understandably so. But wait a minute, right? You're looking at a Quiet Place, right? Making normal, pre-pandemic box office. So, but then, because Cruella falls short of that, you're making excuses because it's a Disney movie. Bobcat, hey Ronnie Dodge, it might seem odd at first that a family-friendly Disney blockbuster based on a classic and beloved franchise would fall at the box office to a gritty R-rated horror movie like A Quiet Place 2. No, it doesn't. However, when looked at in the context of the pandemic era's unique cinematic challenges, excuses, that hierarchy makes a lot more sense. Excuses, the most obvious reason for Cruella's silver medal performance is its simultaneous release on Disney+. Excuses, premiere access like the live-action Mulan remake. Excuses, and Raya the Last Dragon. Excuses, Cruella was made available to Disney+ subscribers for an additional $30 fee, making home viewing an accessible and preferable option for many would-be moviegoers. The platform currently has over 100 million subscribers worldwide, and now first they're making excuses for Disney's failure, now they're waving the flag of how successful Disney Plus is. And Premier Access purchases from even a small part of that user base could account for a lot of Cruella's box office drop-off. Excuses! It's also worth noting that while Cruella is indeed part of an old and storied franchise, it doesn't have the current cultural weight of A Quiet Place. Excuses! The original film has been heralded as one of the greatest horror movies of the past decade, earning both critical acclaim and massive success with audiences. As such, the sequel has been highly anticipated for years. Cruella de Vil is certainly one of Disney's most iconic villains, but she doesn't command the same kind of excitement among fans as the company's bigger brands. Excuses! Lastly, there's the fact that A Quiet Place Part 2 being R-rated appeals to a more strictly adult audience. Excuses! As theatres still remain in a limbo state between pandemic restrictions and normalcy, older moviegoers may be more likely to go out to see than families with young children. Excuses! Especially if that same movie is available at home on Disney Plus as such. Cruella's success will be measured largely by its popularity on the streaming platform rather than strictly by its box office gross. Wow! At the rate it's going, A Quiet Place Part 2 could continue to outpace Cruella even further over the coming weeks. The original film finished its theatrical run with a global gross of $340 million, and while the sequel's overall performance will certainly still be hampered by COVID, its opening weekend is on par with pre-pandemic estimates. For reference, Godzilla vs. Kong grossed over $400 million worldwide by the end of its run, though much of that money came from international markets where A Quiet Place will likely have less appeal. You really don't understand appeal or movies or consumers at all, do you? Cruella is looking like a notable success given the circumstances. Excuses, but the box office gap between it and A Quiet Place may continue to grow. The last Disney Plus Premier Access release, Raya and the Last Dragon, finished with a global box office gross of just under $130 million. The market for Cruella may be somewhat different, and theatres are seeing much better attendance numbers now than they were in March when Raya released. But the new film may still follow a similar pattern. After all, streaming access is understandably a massive hit to tradition. Say that again. After all, streaming access is understandably massive hit to traditional ticket sales in any context. Basically, this journalist spent a whole fucking article making excuses for Disney's failure. And there you have it. I just want to talk about this for a split second. It is fucking hilarious. A Quiet Place 2 exceeded pre-COVID box office. So why didn't Cruella? Oh, because it's on Disney Plus. No, you're wrong. Because how does that explain Godzilla vs. Kong doing so well as well? That had a day and date release on HBO Max. What have you got to say about that? Why the hell was Army of the Dead released in 500 theaters in the US and those theaters were packed out? Excuses for Disney failure. You are a disgrace and we all see through it. Thank you very much. Ronnie Dodge, seeing Cruella at 10 past 1 this afternoon. Let you know my thoughts on tonight's stream. I can't wait to find out what you think. Warner Brothers Discovery, new name, logo and tagline revealed. AT&T announces a name for the combined Warner Media Discovery Company along with an old-timey logo and tagline. The stuff that dreams are made of. And I love it. And I've got it as my top picture on my Twitter. You can check out my profile. So where are we? By Adam Bentz of Screen Rant. A name for the new media company created as a result of the Warner Media Discovery merger was announced today, along with a logo and tagline. The telecom giant AT&T purchased Time Warner, which has since been renamed to Warner Media 3 years ago for $85 billion. This acquisition gave AT&T ownership of everything previously under the Time Warner banner, such as CNN, Turner Sports, Warner Brothers Film Studios, TBS, True TV, Cartoon Network, TNT, and HBO. Last month, it was announced that AT&T would merge Warner Media with Discovery to create one single media company, expected to be valued at $150 billion, to better compete in the streaming wars with Netflix and Disney. The deal combines Discovery's leading reality TV programming with Warner Media's premium entertainment, sports, and news, and Discovery's assets including TLC, Food Network, HGTV, Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, the Oprah Winfrey Network, and the streaming service Discovery Plus. Now, Warner Media and Discovery's combined company is taking shape. Today, the name of the combined company was unveiled. Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav's Discovery chief executive and the new company's expected CEO, announced the name to employees from the Warner Brothers studio lot in Burbank. According to Deadline, a new but old-timey logo was also revealed alongside a tagline. The stuff that dreams are made of. Read Zaslav's full statement below. Ronnie Dodge, I'm so excited for the future for DC now. I've seen some Snyderverse fans mocking the name, of course. That's all they do. But they're powerless. They're just like little ants who are powerless. That's it. Take no notice of them. They're done. Their agenda is done. They are a fandom divided. Warner Brothers Discovery will aspire to be the most innovative, exciting, and a fun place to tell stories in the world. That is what the company will be about. We love the new company's name because it represents the combination of Warner Brothers' fabled 100-year legacy of creative, authentic storytelling and taking bold risks to bring the most amazing stories to life. Wait a minute. That's what we want. That's exactly what any consumer should want. Right. With Discovery's global brand that has always stood brightly for integrity, innovation, and inspiration. The company's tagline is a quote taken straight from the classic Warner Brothers film from 1941, The Maltese Falcon. Other than being a homage to the film studio's rich history, the tagline is an indication of what the new company will be about. According to Warner Brothers Discovery, the new name will honor, celebrate, and elevate the world's most storied creative studio in the world with the high-quality global non-fiction storytelling heritage of Discovery. Since the merger has not yet been approved by federal regulators, much is still unknown regarding the new company. Many consider the deal to be an attempt to increase their streaming presence, as HBO and Discovery only have about 80 million subscribers combined, compared to Netflix's 208 million. Netflix has been around for nearly 20 years, my friend. And Disney Plus, Disney is Disney. Disney represents families, and it was always going to bring more people to the plate. Also, Jason Keeler and Warner Media didn't build HBO Max properly. They brought it out a year too soon because they're greedy. Hopefully with Zaslav involved, we can just put everything in one place. HBO Go, HBO Max, everything. And people can not be confused, and then there'll be more customers. Right. 208 million. Disney Plus is 100 million. The combined company structure is currently unclear, but they are expected to offer an HBO Max Discovery Plus bundle. It will be interesting to see how this massive merger will affect the subscriber count and how it will compare to Netflix down the line. Much more will likely become apparent when the Warner Media Discovery deal officially closes, sometime in mid-2022. So, by the way, I love the name. I love the background, and some Snyder fans are making fun that it's basically taken from Superman the movie. Nothing wrong with that, because you don't like it. because Superman the movie was faithful to Superman. And everyone loved it, and it's inspired so many people in the past 30, 40 years. And you can't handle it. As much as I love Man of Steel, right? It's not original. Man of Steel is not an original. Man of Steel is just an alien invasion story. I love it, right? But Superman the movie, it brought the feeling and soul from the Superman comics, and people loved it. Siegel and Schuster cried when they saw that movie with joy. That movie means something. So this is a great kind of indication that we have a great future with Zaslav and Warner Media and Warner Brothers Discovery. Have you noticed the name Warner Media is dead? Warner Media will be dead, and that is good. We don't want Warner Media. We want, what are they calling it? No, they're not calling it. Yeah, sorry, Screen Rant. They're not calling it Warner Media Discovery Company. They're calling it Warner Brothers Discovery. From next year, mid-2022, it's Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Media will be nowhere to be fucking seen. And that's right. Warner Brothers was formed by those two wonderful brothers. And that's what deserves to be on the plate. That's the name everybody knows. So where are we now? Right. We're going to talk about the Cruella director now. Bobcat. Also, instead of Deadshot, I'm using Conduit. I can't agree with that, sorry. Ronnie Dodge. It's old school Warner Brothers. David is going to be our Bob Iger. It's old school Warner Brothers. I'm excited. You know, he's been talking about the old school Warner Brothers. This is important. This is so important. We push out these alt-left narratives and we go back on focusing on entertainment, of freedom of creativity, of original content, and of course our beloved DC characters represented in the right way. Let's drink some water again. It's a long episode, this one. I didn't realise I marked down so many articles, and I mean, I don't have to read them, but I might as well. They're interesting to me, and I hope they're interesting to you. Bobcat, he's a Superman villain, and I'm a Superman fan, and I've never heard of him. I'm ashamed. Cruella director thinks there's potential for a sequel. Cruella director Craig Gillespie is open to making a sequel to the newest live-action Disney film about the infamous villain Cruella de Vil by Alex Darras of Screen Rant. Cruella director Craig Gillespie is already eyeing a potential sequel to the hit Disney movie. The film tells the origin story of the infamous villain Cruella de Vil, Emma Stone. Set in the 70s punk rock era of London, the iconic villain was first introduced in the 1956 children's novel The 101 Dalmatians. Before Disney put its own animated spin on the tale, a live-action film titled 101 Dalmatians featured Glenn Close as the titular villain, who was campy, ruthless, and hard to emphasize with. Was released in 1996. Rather than showing Cruella as a bloodthirsty puppy killer, Emma Stone's version of the character is an underdog who combats her childhood trauma to claw her way to the top. Alongside Stone's Cruella are her partners in crime, Jasper Joel Fry, Horace Paul Walter Hauser, and her childhood friend Anita Darling, Kirby Howell Baptiste. Cruella also has a nemesis of her own, fashion designer Baroness von Hellman, Emma Thompson. Despite the film's recent release, Gillespie is already thinking about sequel possibilities. While speaking to Collider, Gillespie was asked if he would like to see Cruella's story continue on the big screen. The director notes that he's excited to explore full-blown Cruella in future installments of the franchise, adding she can really expand on her brand. You can check out his full quote below. I feel like we've only just met her. I'd love to now see the full-blown Cruella, fully loaded. She's managed to get the support system around her. She can really expand on her brand. I'd love to see where that takes her and how you could almost destroy her from inside out if she's not careful with all that power. Gillespie was also asked if he would return to the director's seat for a Cruella 2, which is open as long as the cast and crew all return. He also said he believes Disney was so supportive of his experimental ideas and pushing the envelope, as the story is darker than many blockbuster Disney films. Cruella is not the first time Disney's taken a stab at humanizing a villain 2014's Maleficent, which also received a sequel, took similar approach. It's clear after this weekend's release that moviegoers were captivated by the complex dynamic Stone brought to the well-known character, but the reviews are mixed on whether the plot was strong enough or if the content of Cruella was too bleak and threatening for a children's film. It wasn't. However, it's clear that Gillespie has plenty more ideas for a Cruella sequel, so it sounds like all he's waiting for is the green light. It sounds like we're definitely going, it looks like we're definitely going for a Cruella sequel. It sounds like the director's confident, which is good news if you enjoyed that movie. Anyways, Mickey, better get to bed. It's 3:39 a.m. for me. Right, see you later, Bobcat. Thanks for joining. Bobcat, leave a like, everyone. Thank you, Bobcat. Ronnie Dodge, see you later, Bobcat. Bobcat, night, Ronnie Dodge. Night, chat. Night, Mickey. Bobcat, see you, Ronnie Dodge. Night, everyone. At 4, Love and Thunder set photo shows Hemsworth's massive muscles and cool. Chris Hemsworth shows off his massive muscles and Taika Waititi's Korg in a new Thor Love and Thunder set photo to celebrate the end of filming by Cooper Hood of Scream Run. Chris Hemsworth's muscles and Korg's return are prominently featured in a new Thor Love and Thunder set photo to celebrate the movie wrapping production. In the lead up to Thor 4, it became evidently clear that Hemsworth was going to be in tip-top God of Thunder shape once more. The use of Fat Thor in Avengers Endgame will be short-lived as the franchise star repeatedly has touted his superhero physique and what is shaping up to be one of the biggest movies of Phase 4. Really? Really? The upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe blockbuster will bring director, writer, actor Taika Waititi and Hemsworth back together after Thor Ragnarok's success, even though the movie is still a solo film for the God of Thunder. It also is a massive ensemble film featuring Valkyrie, Mighty Thor, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Cold Gore, the God Butcher, and many other characters. Production has been underway in Australia for the last several months, and the majority of set photos for Thor Love and Thunder continue to highlight Hemsworth's new Thor look and his massive muscles. Hemsworth has now taken to Instagram to celebrate the end of principal photography on Thor Love and Thunder. He commemorated the occasion by sharing a photo of himself on set with Taika Waititi. Hemsworth is featured wearing another tank top to show off his bulging biceps, while Waititi is shown on his mocap attire to play the fan favourite rock warrior Cool. Check out the photo below. So there you go. There's the picture for those of you who wants to see it. That's a wrap on Thor Love and Thunder. It's also National Don't Flex Day, so I thought this super relaxed photo was appropriate. The film is going to be batshit crazy, off-the-wall funny, and might also pull a heartstring or two. Lots of love, lots of thunder. Thank you to all the cast and crew who made this another incredible Marvel journey. Buckle in, get ready, and see you in cinemas. So that sounds exciting. After wearing a fat suit for much of Avengers Endgame, it seems clear that Hemsworth is relishing the opportunity once again to showcase his actual physical form. Thor Love and Thunder appears to give him plenty of different outfits that don't hide his transformation, giving his heavier appearance the last time audiences saw him and recent photos of Thor working out in the headband. It won't be too surprising if Thor 4 includes a fun 80s style training montage to show how the God of Thunder gets back in shape. Thor's muscly look isn't the only makeover teased in this Thor Love and Thunder set photos, though Waititi's attire for his mocap role as Korg is quite intriguing. The talented creator wore a traditional mocap suit while filming Thor Ragnarok, but this image shows him wearing a shirt with Korg's rock design on it and armor on top of it. This could just be Waititi's way of having fun, since Korg will be an entirely CGI creation once again, but it could also be an accurate representation of what the friendly warrior might look like. The fur collar and armor will be nice additions to Korg's look if they are featured now that Thor Love and Thunder has wrapped filming, though fans will likely have to wait for the movie's marketing campaign to begin to see more of these characters and the first look at many of the film's other stars. So that's done and dusted, so expect a trailer maybe, well, in the next few months at least. So this is interesting. We've got a bit of a quote from someone from Stargirl. if you're interested in Stargirl. Stargirl 2 is deeper and darker, promises Tigress actress. Right, so where are we? Joy Asmansky, who plays Tigress, reveals Stargirl Season 2 will be a deeper and darker story that is more personal for the various characters, by Richard Fink of Screen Rant. Stargirl Season 2 will take the storyline in a much darker place, says one of its stars. Stargirl premiered on the DC Universe app in 2020 while airing the next day on the CW and went on to be a big success for the network. The series was picked up for a second season by the CW and is set to air in August 2020. Stargirl Season 2 will feature the title character in the Justice Society going up against the villainous Eclipso, played by Nick E. Torabro, who is the wrath of God and the spirit of vengeance, the Shade. A villain who can manipulate shadows and create constructs out of shadows will be another villain for the season, played by Jonathan Cake. With two villains whose powers are based in darkness, it seems to be hinting that Stargirl Season 2 will be a darker tale for the heroes. Joy Asmansky, who plays Paula Brooks, aka Tigress on Stargirl, told Digital Spy that Season 2 will be a darker season and one that is deeper. She hinted that the villains this season will be a factor in what pushes the series and characters forward. Osmansky also hinted that her relationship with her daughter, Artemis Cook, who takes on the mantle of Tigress in the comics, is going to be explored. Osmansky said, I feel like in the second season shows her an opportunity to go deeper and darker, and I think we're going to see some of that in terms of the evil forces at work. In Season 1, Tigress and Sportsmaster are bad guys, but man, compared to some of what's going to happen in Season 2, it's not even close. Everything is relative on the show, and I think what we saw with Tigress is that she's completely bloodthirsty when it comes to defending her family. She'll do anything, and she doesn't have any moral qualms about shooting the principal in Stargirl's home. She didn't hesitate. I think she's going to have to re-establish who she is in Season 2, but it's going to have to be in a different way. Very interesting. Tigress is one of the Injustice Society of America's members left alive in the end of Season 1, alongside her husband, Sportsmaster, and the Gambler. With many of her teammates now gone, the return of old foes and a new threat, Tigress will now be cornered as opposed to being in a position of power, which could make her even more of a threat for multiple parties. Parental-child relationships are a centerpiece of Stargirl, and Tigress' love for her daughter could come into conflict if Artemis takes on a heroic mantle like she does in Young Justice. There is also a chance that Tigress could train her daughter to follow in her footsteps to become a villain similar to Artemis on Arrow. Stargirl Season 1 ended with the Justice Society defeating the villain, but also pushing many of the characters on interesting paths. Courtney has finally found a sense of stability, but the return of the original Starman may shake things up for the family unit. Wildcat, who was against killing, found herself murdering Brainwave, while Beth's Dr. Midnight goggles were destroyed. Hang on a minute, isn't Wildcat supposed to be a bloody bloke? Well, why should I be surprised, right? While Beth's Dr. Midnight goggles were destroyed, leaving questioning of her place in the team without a superpower. Owlman has let go of his motivation for killing Solomon Grundy, a decision that may come back in Season 2. Combine that with the children of Icicle and the Fiddler losing their parents, there is a lot of dramatic potential for Stargirl Season 2 to dig deeper into, the characters with various characters taking unexpected paths. I haven't seen Stargirl, but can you see when Jeff Johns gets it right? Jeff Johns gets it right, which is sensational. Well, there are all the articles for today. Wow, that was me gobbing off for nearly 1 hour and 40 minutes. Wow, sensational. So what we got? Ronnie Dodge, I really hope we get some DC news today. Been starved recently. There's not much going on. They're just filming stuff, obviously. Ronnie Dodge, do you think David Zaslav could be at Fandom? Yes, definitely. A possibility at least to show his face. That would be interesting. I don't think there's any doubts about this deal being ratified the way they're acting, so he could be there, yeah. But it could be ratified earlier. We'll see. Ronnie Dodge, or too early because the deal doesn't happen until 2022. No, I think he could be there. I think there's a big possibility that he'll want to have a presence. I mean, he's talking a lot about the studio, the new merger all the time, like it's already done. that gives you an assumption that he would want to be at Fandom. He's going to be talking a lot about DC because DC is very important to this merger. So he will interfere with DC. So this plan has to work. He'll be all over this multiverse strategy now, and he'll be examining it and re-examining it and talking to Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada if this is the right way to go. Obviously, the films are in production, but if anything goes wrong with this, Zaslav will make changes immediately. There's no question about that. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in to today's Big Mouth Daily Live. We had loads of articles, loads of chat. So if you liked the video and if you tuned in live, I thank you. If you haven't and you've tuned in afterwards, I thank you as well. Like the video, share the channel, follow me on Twitter @MoviesTVMan. And I will be back tonight for Big Mouth Live around 6 p.m, or even though I'm always late, around 6 p.m. for Big Mouth Live UK time. So see me there or be square. Until then, goodbye. Ronnie Dodge, see you later, mate. Yes, see you later, Ronnie. See you later. I hope you enjoy. What's her name? I forgot her bloody name. Anyway, I hope you enjoy her. I was reading about her twice, and I've forgotten her name already. But I hope you enjoy the movie anyway, mate, and I'll see you later. Cruella. Enjoy Cruella. That's it. See you later, mate. See you tonight.